Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Brandon Bias from CheckIt.com, and I'm finally back with another Tutorial Tuesday. You guys have probably been wondering where I've been for the last 2 months, and I guess the best explanation I have is that I actually have a life, to some degree anyway, and yeah. But rather than bore you with the details of the life that I supposedly have, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into this tutorial so that I'm not wasting your time. So having said that, let's go ahead and open up Photoshop and take a look at what we're making today. So at first glance, this picture probably doesn't really seem all that interesting in any way whatsoever, but if you take a closer look, you notice that I've got both of my hands on a mirror, and you don't see a camera in the picture. And, you know, I don't really need to explain why a picture like this is cool. I mean, it's a picture of a reflection, but there's no camera in the picture. So if you were to show a picture like this to any of your friends, I'm pretty sure they'd freak out for at least a couple of minutes before figuring out that this has been photoshopped. Alright, so you guys probably want to know how to make this, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So what you're going to need is just 3 different pictures, okay? So the first picture that you're going to take is going to look something like this. And by this I mean that you're holding the camera in your dominant hand. So in this case I'm holding it in my right hand, but it looks like my left hand because I'm taking a picture of a mirror, so kind of F's up your perception a little bit. But I'm holding it in my right hand with the camera where my face is and with my left hand up on the mirror. And if you notice, I've got my right arm off to the side. That way you can see most of my shirt, and that's going to be used later on when you get to masking. And by the way, if you don't know how masking works, this tutorial is just going to seem incredibly confusing to you. So if you don't know how to use masking, I highly suggest you go and figure it out. There are some cool tutorials on it on YouTube, and they're pretty easy to find. Just look up Photoshop masking. So anyway, arm off to the side, camera in the dominant hand at your face, left hand on the mirror. And then the next one is obviously the opposite side. You got the camera in your left hand. This was really hard to take because it's kind of a DSLR, and the picture or the buttons on the right hand side. So anyway, now my hand's kind of in the way, but anyway, you got my right hand up on the mirror, and so you kind of get the general idea of all that. So the next picture is obviously to make up for the other two where the camera was in my face. We got the camera down in my chest area, so that way we have another picture to work with that has my face in it. So again, so you got one picture with your left hand on the mirror, another picture with your right hand on the mirror, and then of course another picture with it in your chest area, alright? So there's one thing that you want to keep in mind while you're taking these pictures is the framing. So just to demonstrate, so you see that in this picture, I've got my head near the top of the picture and I'm centered. So I've got that pretty consistent between this one and that one. I messed up a little bit with the third one, but I show you how to fix that later on. So once you've got all 3 of these pictures, go ahead and select them all and drag them into Photoshop. Alrighty, so now that these are open, the first steps are actually pretty simple. So let's go ahead and work with the right hand side real quick. And what we're going to do is go ahead and right click the background layer and click duplicate layer. And so for the name of this, we're going to name it right. And for the document, we're going to put it to our center picture, and we'll hit OK. And then we'll go ahead and close that document. And then we'll do the same thing for the left hand side. So right click, duplicate layer, left, and we'll put that to center.jpg, hit OK. And we'll go ahead and close that up, and here we go. So now you see that we've got our left side picture, our right side picture, and then our center picture is technically labeled the background layer right now. So just give that a double click to bring up this new layer thing and type in center, hit OK. Alright, so the next step is to go ahead and turn off the right hand layer for the time being, and then select the left hand layer, or you can do it the other way around, start off with the right side, completely up to you. And we'll go ahead and change the opacity down to 50% just for the time being. And we'll go ahead and bring up the transform tool for this layer by hitting Control T if you're on a PC or Command T if you're on a Mac. And while holding down the Shift key, go ahead and click and drag down from the upper left hand corner and click and drag from the upper right hand corner, and just kind of tweak with these corners until the picture kind of matches up with the picture below it. And so one thing that I kind of pay attention to while I'm doing this is the collar right here. So as you can see, I've got the collar pretty lined up. And I've also got my shoulders pretty lined up because of that. So just keep in mind that the collar and the shoulders are mostly what you want to get lined up, and then everything will start to fall in place later. So once you've got that lined up, go ahead and hit that little check mark up at the top to go ahead and commit those transformations, and we'll go ahead and put the opacity back to 100%. Okay, so now here comes the fun part. We're going to start masking already. So go ahead and add a layer mask to this left-hand picture right here. Go to your brush tool by hitting the letter B, and start getting rid of the center camera area and everything on the right-hand side. So just get rid of all that. And then once you start getting over to the shoulder area, you might want to start stopping, but make sure you get rid of the hand, and then get rid of the ghosting from the camera on the neck. And it's probably a good idea to start getting rid of all this area over here. So just start getting rid of all this. And then something that I find useful is to stop at the door. So mask off this area until it's to the door. And then you might want to mess with the shoulder a little bit, maybe get rid of some of that area. And thankfully that's actually matching up pretty well, so you don't see anything looking unnatural, which is pretty good. And then up here, we'll just get rid of that little line, and we'll just call that good for the time being. We'll go ahead and patch that up a little bit more later. So now we've got the general idea going on right here. Let's go ahead and fix up the center a little bit. So let's go ahead and swap the foreground color to white and start bringing in back some of that shirt right around there. So just start getting rid of some of that. And then swapping back to black to start getting rid of some areas. All right. So just swap back and forth between the black and the white, and just kind of go over areas that look a little fuzzy and all that, and try and get rid of as much as possible. And of course, we're going to have a little bit of overlap that won't go away. So that's what the rest of the other pictures are for. So let's go ahead and turn off that left-hand layer now that we've got this mask to a point that we like, and go down to the right-hand side and kind of do the same thing. Let's put the opacity down to 50%. Grab the transform tool with Control T or Command T if you're on a Mac, and start dragging down one of these corners and drag down the other corner, and just kind of start messing with this a little bit. Kind of hard to see. Okay, so that's my collar right there. Let's go ahead and size this back up a little bit. Matching that up a little bit. So obviously it's not going to match up perfectly, but as long as you get the general gist of it down, so that way it matches up okay. Maybe that looked a little bit better the other way. Okay. So I'm thinking that this is lining up pretty good. I've got, whoa, get back here. So I've got this lined up with my collar pretty well, and also I've got my shoulders lined up in a pretty decent way. So I'll go ahead and put the opacity back up to 100%, and then I'll go ahead and commit those transformations on the little check mark up there, and let's go ahead and start masking. So let's get that little layer mask going on, and start getting rid of everything on the left-hand side, as well as everything on the face area. So get rid of all that, and start getting rid of this area over here. And so you can see that the center picture is starting to come back. So let's go ahead and turn on the left-hand side to start making up for all those areas we're getting rid of. And start masking off all the areas on the left-hand side. And let's start messing up this area over here. Or not messing up, messing with, I should say. And let's mess with this a little bit, making sure that it lines up okay. And so I've still got this area right here, so let's go ahead and start bringing some of that back, maybe right around there. This was giving me issues earlier, and let's bring that back from my arm. So as you can see, we are having a little bit of an issue right here. Nothing's matching up. So you need to start thinking, well, what part has the part of the picture that I need? Man, that's a tongue twister. So obviously this part of my arm right here is part of the right hand side, And I'm thinking that this little part right here is part of the left hand side, because when I try to mask in the white on that, nothing's happening. So that's probably coming from the left hand picture. So I'll go to the mask of my left hand picture and start very carefully bringing some of that in. So maybe right there, something like that. It's not completely 100% perfect. Unless I do, there we go. Maybe I should start getting rid of some of it. There we go. Start getting rid of that left-hand side. Much better. And then start messing with this part so that it matches up a little bit better. Obviously, we're messing with two different pictures, so just kind of mess with this mask, bringing back the picture that matches up and getting rid of part of the picture that doesn't. So I'm just kind of fooling the eye. These are actually two different parts of the picture. Because if I were to bring back all of this from the left-hand side, oh, that actually looks pretty good right there. Why didn't I do this earlier? So bring all that back and get rid of all this. There we go. So like I said, this is just kind of like just messing with the masks, just seeing what you can get away with. There we go. Make that look like it's kind of a crease right there. And then let's see what we can do with this. Maybe start getting rid of some of that. There we go. Much better. And let's see if we can start getting rid of some of this. Get rid of all these little parts up here. So right now I'm getting rid of the left-hand image to start showing through to the right-hand image, and through that down to the actual center picture itself. So let's see what all we can get rid of without it looking too fishy, because I want to keep that crease in there. There we go. And let's see if we can, nope, don't want to bring that back. Alright, so let's take a step back, see if we can see anything that's showing up that really shouldn't be there, or see if anything isn't there that should be. So one thing that I definitely see is that my thumbs are cut off on the right hand side. So let's go back to that right hand picture and let's try and start bringing those back. And there we go. I see what's going on. The left hand side is overlapping it, so I need to get rid of that. So let's go ahead and start getting rid of that left hand side like that. You know, maybe, nope. There we go. And I messed up my mask over here. Go figure. So I gotta get rid of that again, like so. Alright. So like I was trying to say earlier, the concept behind this is pretty simple in that you're using three pictures together. But the challenge of actually putting them together so that they blend well enough, that's the fun part. As you can see, I'm just going back and forth between all of these layers with different, colors on the mask and all that, just tweaking everything here and there, trying to see what works together. So it doesn't exactly have to be perfect, it just has to be deceiving. Now, if I really wanted to, I could go up here and start messing with the mask up here, so that way this little bottle thing isn't showing up, because that's supposed to be behind the actual door itself. But anyway, that's kind of a whole different concept. I'm not going to worry about that because I'm not actually putting this anywhere, so I'm not going to worry about it. What I am going to do, however, is start to crop this so that way we don't see all of this excess stuff over here. So let's go ahead and grab our rectangular marquee tool, and let's go ahead and zoom out and drag from this corner down to the right to select that area, and then go to image crop. And then we'll deselect that with Control D or Command D if you're on a Mac. And we'll go ahead and zoom in and see how we're looking. Alright, so in my personal opinion, this is actually looking pretty dang good. So just a few tips for you. Just keep a lookout for anything that's kind of faded or something that lines up in a way that it shouldn't. Because keep in mind that when you change the perspective from this picture to that picture, from the left or right hand side to the center, there is a change in perspective. So the angles of stuff that's going on, like the window and the doorway, those angles are going to be different. So things are going to look a little bit strange, and you just need to mess with the masking so that it all kind of matches up all right. So having said that, I hope you guys learned something pretty cool from this tutorial. I know I didn't really explain everything, spot on, I guess, but that's just because that this is something that you just need to have experience with in order to get it work, because masking can be kind of confusing sometimes. So, and the only way to really explain it is to demonstrate it, which hopefully I did okay. So let me know how I did in explaining this tutorial for you, and let me know if you actually enjoyed doing it yourself. And as always, you can always like, favorite, comment, and share with others if you enjoyed this tutorial that much. That always helps us out to get a few more people to watch our tutorials and all that. And also, if you want to go ahead and join in on some of the stuff that we do, go ahead and go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/chittocheckit. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description. And if you need any help with this effect and you have any questions or anything, go ahead and ask in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer all your questions. And until then, guys, I will see you next Tuesday.